It's my pleasure to share some experience with the CIE members. And I know this is today's Saturday, and it's raining. And you drive here, I think you want to try some useful information to help you, to help your careers. Okay, today I'm going to share, like a job seeker, how you can find the next opportunities like a venture capitalist. Every one of us is like investors. When we work for a company, we invest our time, our energies, our career to the companies. Sometimes the companies fail. It's not our fault. Okay, so a little bit introduction about myself. So I'm a very lucky person. Yeah, for the past 10 years, I worked for 3 companies. I joined Google in 2006. So share of Google now is rise 10 times. Then I worked for Tencent. After I joined Tencent, Tencent share price rose 40 times. The founder of Tencent, Pony Ma, is the richest Chinese in the world, Ma Huateng. And I joined Tesla in 2012. So the share price rose 10 times again. There are a lot of books on career planning in the libraries. There are many articles on the web about how to plan your career. If you read a book, you're going to find some content like this. Very complex workflows. However, so the plan and the reality is different. I often talk with some people about the career planning. Actually, it's no matter how hard you plan, unfortunately, it's very hard to plan actually. But you have to. The people often say that the plan may not be useful, but you need to have a plan. People don't plan to fail, but they fail to plan. So, what is the turning point? A turning point is at some point is very important in your careers. Where you are now is actually the result of a decision you made a few years ago. You joined a company and you attended some schools. After several years, you become where you are now. So we live in Silicon Valley. There are a lot of new things every day come out. Artificial intelligence, robotics, electric vehicles, bitcoins, blockchains. A lot of new things, new concept. And what's the relationship between those concepts and your career? How you can benefit from those new technologies, new trend. A unicorn means it used to be represent a company with $100 million valuation, but now the barrier is higher. So the unicorn is we call for the company's valuation is over $1 billion US. So it means how to find a promising startup. Yeah, if you go to LinkedIn, go to Indeed, go to Monsters, go to all the job site, there are many startups. If you're a reader of TechCrunch, every day a new startup got funding. And the founder has a very excellent background. But how to evaluate them? who will be the next unicorns? This is a picture I want to share. It's very sad. Yeah, sometimes choice is more important than hard work. An engineer at Google or Facebook or Tesla or Apple, they may not be smarter than you. And you're probably working harder than them. But they make more money than you. It's not fair. So it's a result of choice. As I said, the job seeker is a venture capitalist. But however, we are more risky than the venture capitalist. Because a venture firm, they can invest hundreds of companies as the portfolios. For us, we can only work for one company at the same time. We cannot work for 100 companies and hope one will succeed. So we are very risky. We need to be very, very careful than the venture capitalist. So I share some from my own experience, how to evaluate a startup. There are some tips. Number one, don't believe in the media. Sometimes we research on the startup. On the website, they will say, hey, we are on TechCrunch, we are on Forbes, Washington Journal, Business Insight, VentureBeat, Fast Companies, Red Code, a lot of tech medias. A startup company is covered by those medias doesn't mean they are success. They will be a successful companies. So don't be influenced by the medias. Using your own head to do the research. And if you know some PR firm, actually, they can help you to make your companies to be covered by those medias. If you pay. And your story will be on those medias. Number two, don't bet on the big names, VC names behind the companies. Because when the startup, when they do the advertising, they will say, we are backed by KPCB. We are a Sequoia company. We are invested by Google Venture. As I said, those venture capitalists, those venture firms, they invest in many companies. A company got funding from a top venture firm doesn't guarantee they will succeed. Yeah, although it's a good factor. So when we evaluate a company, so if a startup they got funding from the top venture firm, it's possible they have a good technologies and good teams. Okay, number three, don't bet on the demo day winners. In the Silicon Valley, every week there's a demo days. And there are some winners. I think this week the Y Combinator has a demo days in Mountain View. This past Monday. So if you look at those famous companies like Facebook, Google, Tesla, Apple, none of them are winners on demo day. And sometimes demo day winner because they got the consensus of the audience. And often, a great company in the beginning is very controversial. Like Uber, like Airbnb. In the early days, nobody understands. That's why I'm very suspicious about the winners on demo day. Especially the winners are very suspicious. Because it has a consensus. Number 4 tips is from Elon Musk. Don't follow the trend. You know what's the hot concept nowadays? It's Bitcoins, blockchains. There are a lot of blockchain companies, startups. These are the trend. So Elon Musk said, this is I think it's Stanford, when he gave a talk at Stanford University. So this is a quote. So don't just follow the trend. So you may have heard me say that it's good to think in terms of the physics approach of first principles. So which is rather than reasoning from analogy, so you boil things down to the most fundamental truths you can imagine, and you reason up from there. Yeah, for those of you, if you're not familiar with the first principle, you can go to YouTube and find some interviews. I think Elon has given a good explanation about it. Number 5, try the product yourself. Every great company, they have great product. I work at Google between 2006 and 2009. A lot of Google engineers joined other startups in the early days. I asked them, why you left Google for Facebook? Why you left Google for Uber? And the answer is, I like their product. So if you send a thorough advertisement, a startup is hiring. So before submitting your resume, try their product, try their service. Then you make your own conclusion. Number 6, follow good engineers, not executives. So a lot of startup companies, if you look at the website, there's a web page about the management teams, about their founders. If you look at the bio, most of them are very good background, from good school, from the top school, from top companies. They have quite accomplished. They are very successful people. So that gave the job seeker some hint. Say, come to work for us. Look at our founders. Look at our executives. Their background is great. So let's work together. So, but my advice is, look at the background of the engineers of those startups. Don't look at the background of their founders. Because most founders, most executives, they have an excellent background. If they are normal people, they won't start their own business. They will work for somebody else. But however, so the engineers is a very good signal. In the early days of Facebook, about 10% of engineers from Google. Then it's very good signal. Why those engineers? They join Facebook. They have many choices. So in the Silicon Valley, it's very easy for a good engineer to get a job. They have many choices. Why they choose Facebook? So that's why when my way to evaluate a startup is I look at their employees' background. I don't look at the background from the founders, because I know all the founders, most executives, their background are good. And also the other thing is the VPs, the CTOs, their package is different from yours. Their salary is much higher than yours. And their stock option is also much higher than yours. If the company fails, they get more than you. And I heard LinkedIn, they are doing some research about the startup companies, because LinkedIn know their members. When they switch job, they update on their LinkedIn profile, so they know where they go. So LinkedIn can predict which startup can be successful. Number 7, stay away from those old startups. Those startups received many rounds of funding. Series F, Series G, Series H. They started 10 years ago, but never up. If a company, a startup, have some problems, there could be many problems. The market has a problem. The product has a problem. The team has a problem. That's why they couldn't become a big company. And if we look at the successful companies in the Bay Area, like Google, or Facebook, or Airbnb, Uber, they are already famous when they are young. So it's very interesting. There is no old dark horse. We know the word dark horse. For example, if we know a world champion for some sports, a world champion, before he or she become world champion, he already a champion from a country, national champion from a country. For example, America. And he or she become a champion in America, he could be a champion in California or Texas. Because he or she become a champion of California or Texas, probably he's already a champion in Santa Clara. So that's why, if a company is very old startup company for 10 years, 15 years, and still very small, so it's very likely, so the company won't be successful. So stay away from those old startups. Okay, number 8, stay away from those founders. Some founders, here is an example of an app, Secret. The founder got raised 100 million, and after a few months, it's bankruptcy. And the two founders got 6 million in their pocket. Number 9, if you're lucky to receive an offer from a good startup, don't negotiate too much about the salaries. Back and forth, then you lose the offer. Number 10, choose something you love. There's a saying, say, love what you do, and do what you love. Okay, I thought maybe time is up. You can contact me on LinkedIn or Weibo, the Twitter of China. This is the link. Thank you very much. No question answered.
That's all right. We'll save all the good questions after 5 p.m. and the audience speaker will stay and they will surround you with questions, sure. So we'll go ahead with the program and the question will be afterwards.
Okay, thank you.
And here we're going to present you the, please come down. Before we introduce the panel, our president, Simon Ma, will give you the plaque of our commemoration. And then we give you back the stage.
Okay, let's welcome our panelist. This is Claire. Yeah, Claire is the head of HR at Baidu USA, the office in Centerville. Claire was relocated to the United States from Taiwan at the age of 13 after receiving a full scholarship to attend middle school and high school in Queens, New York City, and received both bachelor's and master's degrees from University of Oklahoma. Now a strategic and versatile HR professional with 15 years of experience, including a strong background in the regional corporate level, in multiple US and air-based culturally diverse and complex operations. So before joining Baidu USA, Claire was HR manager of Westin Hotels Resort, Delta America, Alibaba Group, and SF Express. Yeah, this is Claire. Our next panelist is Dr. Ping Su. He's a professor in San Jose State University. Ping Su graduated from St. John and St. Mary's Institute of Technologies, Taiwan. In 1878, he graduated from the Southern Methodology Universities in 1980 and with master's degrees, and in 1988 from the University of California, Berkeley with PhD, both degrees in electrical engineering. So after graduating Berkeley, he joined the Faculty of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering Department at the University of Illinois. And in 1990, he joined the Department of Electrical Engineering at San Jose State University. At San Jose State University, he served as a professor of electrical engineering, associate dean, and interim dean in the College of Engineering. So his research interests include control theories, machine controls, robotics, embedded systems, power electronics, and power systems. Yeah, this is Dr. Su. And our next panelist is Jin Xu. Yeah, he's the HR director at Tencent America. And he has very extensive experience of US and China HR and operation experience, supporting business expansions, growth, and change management in public and private sectors. So prior to Tencent, he had worked as a director HR and operations at GWC for about 2.5 years. And GWC produced a global mobile internet conference in multiple countries and built an executive network in the mobile internet industry all over the world. And before GWC, he worked for Huawei, a global leader in ICT solutions for about 14 years, and 9 years in Shanghai, 5 years as an HR director in America. So Jin specializes in organizational development, culture change management, talent management, compensation, staffing, and HRS. And Jin has a master's degree in management science from University of Science and Technology of China. And he is a certified senior professional in human resource and a certified compensation professional. Okay, good. Okay, so I prepared some questions for the panelists, and I also welcome for the audience if you have any question to ask for the panelists. So our goal is to try to find out as much more information available from the experienced panelists. Okay, maybe we just have a broad overall first question. So where is opportunities now? There's a lot of new things, Bitcoins, artificial intelligence. So what's in it for the audience? What's those trends relation with us? Okay, let's hear the answers from the panelists. Where are the opportunities now?
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. Hi everyone, I'm Claire, and thank you for the CIA for putting together this wonderful event. So I want to answer the question by saying the opportunity is everywhere. And I also like to understand our audience a little bit. If you're in the age of 20 to 30, can you raise your hand? Between 30s to 40s. Okay. And for you that have an engineering background, can you raise your hand? All right, that's great. So I think to answer the question, I think in Silicon Valley, the opportunity is everywhere. From the areas of autonomous driving to AI, they are everywhere. For the HR, I can say we have the rising challenge in recruiting, and I think Jen can probably agree with that.
Hello, this works. Hello, I'm Ping. I've been teaching at San Jose State for the last 27 years. I work with students day in and day out, so my perspective is almost entirely from that work experience, helping students to start their career. I totally agree with what Claire just said. Opportunity is everywhere. Not only I agree, I actually have proof. I actually brought in prepared slides. I don't know if you can see this. No, let's go down to the third page. Maybe I'll just start with slide number 1. This is a statistic or the survey result of our graduates from San Jose State last year. All right. So as you will see that I have a slide that shows the top employers in the valley, and then I have slides that shows the top industry in the valley. And okay. So how do I go down to the next page? Okay. So I was just start with this slide. This slide looks different, but okay. I thought I retyped this slide so the name of the employers are even. All right. So I hope you can read this. This is the top employer who hired our graduates last year. As you can see, that is pretty much all over the world. It just has a wide range. No surprise here, all these big companies. And on the right is the type of industry. This is both piece on the left and right came from the same survey. Well, you can see that we have on the industry side, we have all the way from aerospace to transportation and logistics. That's because our college offers degrees in a wide range of of engineering area, from aviation, aerospace to technology. So this is the proof. It's really everywhere. Let's see. All right. So this is the type of the top job functions and titles. And of course, this is a survey of our students at the time of graduation. So by now they might have moved on to something else, but this is at the time of their graduation. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Jane. So I agree with Claire and Dr. Su. And so there's a lot of opportunities in Silicon Valley here, especially for recent years. There's a lot of Chinese companies build their presence here. So especially for a lot of people, if you interest about the China and the market, it's kind of great opportunity to try this opportunity with kind of Tencent, Baidu, Alibaba, this kind of company. And also these companies, they are not looking for the local hire. They also kind of provide a kind of bigger platform to hire local talent back to China or other regions. And later on, they provide an internal transfer program, so you still can have opportunity back to US. So I think right now, recently, it's kind of great opportunity for all the engineers and here in Silicon Valley.
I'd like to add one thing that about opportunity in Silicon Valley is that we are seeing some of the candidates are deciding and choosing their next employer based on whether the company would be able to offer them visa sponsorship. So we're also seeing that layer of, I think, complexity in hiring.
Okay, talking about China, and I see a trend. A lot of a Chinese company come to here to recruit in the Silicon Valley. So do you think is working in China is opportunities? So like also Virginia and the professor.
Yeah, especially for Tencent this year, we will have hundreds of jobs opening here for local talent back to China, especially for AI, for cloud, all the kind of engineering background. And we just like Claire mentioned, because of immigration kind of currently is very hard to get a visa, work visa for the U.S. New graduates, and also it's kind of a restriction for people apply, come to U.S. to go to college. So with these trends, so I think it's kind of good chance to considering other opportunities rather than just like for local. Because if you choose a kind of big company, China-based, you will have kind of bigger platform, have global opportunities. And also for Tencent, we have very good internal transfer program. After working in China for a couple of years, we can just like transfer back to US under L1 expatriate visa. So this kind of great opportunity. Yeah.
So I think opportunity in China is always there. We have a good number of employees that like to transfer back to China. A lot of it is due to family, I think, concerns that families and parents are getting a little bit older. And I think it's within the tradition that the kids would go back and take care of the family. So the opportunities in China is great. We do have employees that would transfer back to China. We also have a great team of recruiting team in Baidu headquarters. Their job 100% of the time is to recruit talent and bring them back to China. And adding on to that is I think there's also opportunities in setting up operations in another country. We have employees that would like to come to work in the US, but for many different reasons, they're unable to. And so having an operations in Canada is kind of the go-between for that. So I think now when we're looking at opportunity from the HR standpoint, it's not really about where it is, rather it's where are our talents and where do they want to go. So if they want to go to Canada, if they want to go to Brazil for whatever reason, I think for companies with a really good foundation such as Baidu, we'll do the best we can to accommodate that. And I think that also goes along with, this is now a world, the workforce is, it's a global workforce. It's no longer tied to one country or another.
Professor Xu, do you see any, like a lot of students go back to China after graduation?
Very few. I would say 95% of our students, our first preference is to stay here after graduation.
Okay, before the panel, I talked about the startups in the valleys. So the artificial intelligence, blockchains, those are very hot. So I want the panel to share what they see, any interesting startups to share with the audience.
So we recently, when I was talking to Jen earlier, I saw someone with a backpack that says Lingo Live. Is the person still here? I don't know. So Lingo is a company that I recently had the pleasure to work with. So this is actually an online training, a mentor program for employees that, for example, for Baidu, for autonomous driving unit, a lot of the engineers actually, on their day-to-day, they speak about 95% of Mandarin and 5% in English. So we actually have employees coming to say, well, we feel like our English skills is going back. We're giving all that skill back to the teachers, and they're kind of forgetting how to speak English. So it's a little bit reverse of that situation. So Lingo is really unique that they assign you a 45-minute class with a one-on-one tutor to tutor you English, or for our other employees, they actually tutor you Mandarin. And it's a FaceTime kind of program. So it's been working really well. Like, we really like it. So yeah, so it's a little different, yeah.
Being in the education business, we tend to think fundamentals. We cannot start teaching students something just because there's a new company startup. And I believe that's true. That especially for beginner engineers, you don't particularly need to worry about which company or if you make the right choice of the right company. I think that if you continue to gain experience, knowledge in your technical area, and I think you'll be fine. I take it, say, EV company as example. I don't think that when the EV company want to hire an entry-level engineer, they care that much about your experience in another EV company. If you are very good at, say, the control, power electronics, real-time operating systems, I think you have a better chance to, you have a very good chance to get that entry-level position. So don't necessarily worry much about which company, but just stay with the fundamental and be good at it.
Okay, so for Tencent, actually, Tencent has a very kind of strong position to build an ecosystem. So Tencent has a lot of investment in a lot of different segments in the gaming, in the AI and cloud, and so we try to build an ecosystem. So that means for Tencent, our employee will have a lot of opportunities. You are not working for Tencent, and also internally, if you want to apply for our kind of affiliated companies, you have a lot of opportunities. It's kind of a big platform, and the employee, when you're working on some products, you will have a good access to the other user base and user in the database. And when you find some kind of interesting product and small companies, the company already invested, you can apply. So I think just like the doctor mentioned, it's not really about which startup. It's like where you can choose whether you can step in a kind of big platform, so you always can open and explore the opportunities.
Sorry, I thought Tom was asking what's an interesting startup that we recently heard of. So I was like, oh, Lingo is pretty cool. But I really like in your slides earlier that on slide number 10, you said pick something that you're really passionate about. So I think that's ultimately is what's going to make you successful, is pick something that you really care about.
Okay, I'd like to share some statistics. For the last year, 2017, the top 20 firms hiring the most in the Bay Area. Number 1 is Apple. Number 2, Amazon. Number 3, Cisco. Number 4, Oracle. Number 5, Google. Number 6, Facebook. Number 7, Salesforce. Number 8, Intel. Number 9, GE. Number 10, Intuit. So like the QuickBooks. Number 11, VMware. Number 12, Visa. Number 13, Walmart e-commerce. Number 14, Workday. Number 15, Adobe. Number 16, NVIDIA. NVIDIA's share price also rose 10 times for the past year. Number 17 is interesting, is Yahoo. It's still alive. Number 18, Tesla. Number 19, PayPal. Yeah, PayPal is after PayPal acquired a mobile payment company, PayPal is the stock price also rise a lot. Number 20 is eBay. So actually, we are lucky to live in the Bay Area. So there are a lot of good big companies too. Okay, since there are so many good companies, how to find the dream jobs? So we want the tips from the panelists on the job search or how to prepare yourself. It doesn't mean you prepare your resumes and prepare an interview. How to prepare yourself, make yourself ready. When the opportunity is there, you can catch them. So it's also very broad, open questions for the panelists. There's so many opportunities. How to catch yours?
Yeah. So from the HR perspective, when we just like screen all the resumes, we're always looking for the key kind of the keywords or the experience match our expectations. So when the prospective candidate, when you prepare yourself, I think the number one you have to assess your own skills and understand what you want to do, because eventually what kind of good match between the employer and yourself. And so you cannot apply for everyone kind of openings. So you probably have to narrow down based on your assessment on yourself and your own strengths, and also you understand the business and what you really like to do, be part of it. So I think that will be the most important thing, because if you cannot identify the unique part of yourself and how you can just like show and present in front of the kind of the company, the recruiting team and the hiring manager. And so when you join the organization, how you can be successful, the key is about your own skill and match with the organization and your own passion and what you want to do. So that's it.
I see the question is tip for finding a dream job in 2018. Whatever the answer to the question is, I'm pretty sure it's not just for 2018. I think that would probably apply to 2019 or 2017. I think that it has more to do with what you consider as a dream job, or whether you will make your job a dream job or make a job a dream job. I think there was a slide just earlier in the first half of the session. I think that was the last slide of the talk. It said something about do what you love what you do. What you like? Yes, of course, everybody would like to find the dream job, but then you can learn to love what you do. So that I think is very important. If you start a job searching by limiting yourself to only those jobs you consider as a dream job, right after that you already limit yourself the opportunity. And say if you're lucky and you found that your dream job for the first year, and later you might find that's not such a dream job after all. So don't get too concerned about the dream part of it. Just to find a job that you don't hate, and you can make this or learn to like this job.
So I think that resonate with me a little bit. So how to find a dream job in 2018? So I'll share with you guys what are the 3 questions or the 3 important questions that I ask myself when I decide if I want to hire a candidate. The first question I ask is, can he do the job or can she do the job? This goes back to your education. It goes back to your experience. Can you do the job? The second question I ask is, are you going to love what you do? If you're not going to love what you do, you're not going to stay with us for a long time. People are not going to enjoy working with you. The third question I ask is, are we going to love working with you? Or in other words, can we tolerate working with you when things are not great? And how long can we tolerate that? Many years ago, when I was working at the Westin, I had 2 candidates, equal background, equal pedigree, and both are great. I couldn't decide who I want to ask, who I want to hire. So So I asked my manager, and then she said, Claire, imagine that you are going on a flight from New York to San Francisco. You got in the airplane, the doors are shut. All of a sudden, the pilot tells you, sorry, the runway is frozen, so we're going to be stuck on the airplane for 5 hours before even you take off. So who is that person that you want sitting next to you? Is the candidate number 1 or candidate number 2? The answer became quite obvious. So it was easy for me to make that choice. So for me, when I choose who to hire, 1, can the person do the job? 2, is the person going to love doing that job? And 3, can me or my team tolerate working with you? So,
Okay, then talk about the networking, because a lot of questions I receive from candidates about networking. How to do networking effectively. For example, today is a great opportunity for networking, but some friends come here and listen to the talks, then go back home by themselves. I know nobody else. So okay, let's maybe the panel share something about networking, how to do effectively, or some tips, or how to use networking.
So perhaps I will. I know what I know. Because I really don't know a whole lot about how to do effective networking. But I do know one thing, that is the connection you made while you are in school is priceless. At San Jose State, we have, I would say even most of our students work part-time while going to school. So many of our students found their first job through that connection. So, do your research. If you see someone in a company that you're graduate from the same school, and then you may be able to leverage that connection in some way.
Yeah, I think everyone, just like you, your life and your work and life in different segments. So everyone we tend to connect well with in our own kind of professional life. You connect with all the colleagues, all the kind of peers in your own area. But the most maybe very helpful is try to connect, expand your connection with somebody is not in your normal work life network. That people may can add more value on your kind of your career path, because the people who similar with you, they have similar ideas, understanding, and thoughts with you. But you need some people from different angle to understand and to see the world. So that will be kind of a suggestion.
For me, I think for effective networking is just going out doing what you enjoy doing. There's a lot of groups in the Bay Area, tennis group, I think even coding groups. So just do what you enjoy doing, and you're gonna bump into people that work at Google, work at those big name companies, or in the startups in the areas that you're interested in. Once you make that connections, doing what you do, and you're building the relationship not based on you are wanting something from the other person. You're not wanting a referral, you're not wanting to networking so you can get a job. Enjoy what you're doing and build that relationship from there by doing something you already enjoy doing. Whether it's tennis, whether coding, or just meeting new people, board games. And you're going to run into people that you enjoy talking to.
I can share 2 tips. One is for a conference like this, so your goal should not be networking with the speakers, because speakers, too many people, sometimes they're hard to memorize. So your goal is to networking with other audience. So that is something should be in your mind. Second, you have to a clear self-introduction. You say, hey, my name is Peter, I'm a software engineer. So my name is Mary, so I'm a graphic designer. So very simple, very clear, and make people remember you. Okay, then maybe some interviews for Jane and Claire, so you interview a lot of people in your careers. So what candidate you like or don't like, or what's the mistake they made? Or like Professor Xu, when you like accepting students?
Well, I often,
Would you
what
like
I
to do?
quite often tell students that EE student, I'm electrical engineering professor. One way to make your resume stand out is to put EE under your hobby. I believe that today's employer, they hire you as the whole person, not hire you for what you know, not just what you can do. So they like to see that you have your engineering in your head and also in your blood. So 100% engineer, a dedicated engineer, a passionate engineer, that's kind of a people employer like to hire.
So yeah, for as HR, when I interview candidates, probably like just the first 5 minutes, I will know whether the person is right and good fit. And for the rest of the time, probably just like find more evidence to support that kind of judgment. So I think the suggestion is just like when you do interview, you have to show you have kind of deep understanding what you are doing for your experience and be able to clearly to explain and to introduce, share with the interviewer. Because that kind of first 5 minutes introduction to say, typically the interviewer will ask you, say, can you just do a self-introduction? So way how you introduce yourself, about your accomplishment, about who you are, that will definitely demonstrate your own skills and capabilities. So typically for the first 5 minutes, you already show the difference. Yeah.
I feel like I shared the tips really early, but so I'll say do a little bit of research about the hiring manager. Know what they like or what they don't like, possibly, or know what their passion is. I recently was hiring for some HR roles, and I guess people found out that I do like dogs. And so I think for a period of about 2 months, in my email inbox, I was receiving resumes for HR position along with pictures of their pets. So then I ended up having over, I think, 200 pictures of dogs, cats, goldfish, turtles, anything you can think of. So they found out that I really care for animals, and I volunteer for animal rescue organizations. So with that piece of information, they add that to their resume. And so now my team actually has, I think altogether about 5 dogs and 2 cats, and I think 2 fish. So one, really know your hiring manager. If you can, find out what their passion is, because it's going to get their attention. And I agree with what Jen was saying is during that first 5 minutes of introduction, it's a great way to tell a story. Be funny. People forget to be funny during interview. Everyone come into the interview and think this is very serious. But tell a story, be funny, share your passion with the person. We all connect to one another in many ways that you don't know. So share your story, be funny, be relaxed, and try to connect with the hiring manager.
Okay, now it's a story time. So we want to hear some unconventional but effective story for the job seekers. So I want to start 3 quick small stories first, and then the audience can think about the stories. Okay, first story. I know a girl. His major is accounting. He's from China. He come here, try to looking for jobs. He using the Google Map to search for accounting firms in her close areas, and then see the result. A lot of accounting firms. Then she bring copies of resumes and visit those accounting firms one by one, and give the resume to them. Say, hey, my name is what? So I'm studying here. I'm looking for an intern job, accounting job. Then she got one. Second story. In 2009, it's a crisis. Economy is really bad. There's a lot of layoffs. 2009. I know a guy. Is a master graduate. He got 4 offers. So what he did is he attended a lot of professional professional shows like exhibit, and he volunteered to help on the conference, on the exhibit. Then he collects the business cards from the exhibitors. Then when he returned to school, he sent out emails with the resumes to all of them as a follow-up. Then he got a job. Okay, third story is a girl on the East Coast. He wants to work in the Silicon Valley. He applied on the LinkedIn, applied for Indeed, and no response. So he found one company has a job. Then she tried to guess who is the hiring manager. So she go to the LinkedIn to find the names, but she don't have the email address. And she found the guy's name on Facebook. So he sent a message to the person on Facebook and sent her resume. So the hiring manager passed the resume to the HR. The HR thinking, oh, here's the resume from hiring manager. It's maybe already a pre-screen. So yeah, the HR went to the interviews and then she got the job. This is the 3 real stories. Okay, maybe the audience can share some unconventional but effective ways to find a job. Unusual ways.
Again, I will speak as a professor. I can tell you that when a company, someone I know in the industry asks me for a recommendation, if I make that recommendation, the probability is very high that student will be hired. So, do well in school.
Find like a professor to recommend you.
Yes, I think also kind of make a kind of good relationship with your peers, with the current company, because if someone got a good opportunity with other employer, they may, if they have new openings, they may first think about their friends, their kind of former kind of peers, the kind of good opportunity. So, for example, recently we hired a lot of researchers for our media lab. And I have to say 80% of the new hires are recommended by our hire manager because she's just very kind of influential in the industry. And after everyone knows she joined Tencent, they just like reach out to her, they say, do you have any openings? So we just like within kind of probably 2 months, we just filled 80 positions. So this kind of most productive, efficient way for us to find a good candidate, but also for other people get a new opportunity. Yeah.
So I would say the unconventional tips for job seekers. So most job seekers go online or go through their friends and ask them for a referral and then apply jobs. When you're doing that, you are essentially asking the employer to give you an opportunity to either meet or speak with you. One unconventional way that actually worked for Baidu is we had several candidates that they just very passionate about our autonomous driving program and really want to work for us. And of course, they sent their resume, but with the pile of people that were waiting to interview, they had to wait for about 2-3 weeks to even hear from us to get an interview. So these people are quite creative. They came to us. They actually found us on Twitter. They found us on Facebook and said, hey, I sent in a resume. I understand that you have a good number of big candidates like myself waiting to be interviewed by you. So why don't you tell me, give me an assignment. What is a problem that you're trying to solve? Let me make a proposal how I would solve it for you. Now, that dynamic kind of changed a little bit, didn't it? Instead of sending in their resume, asking the employer to give them the opportunity to meet, then you are giving the control to the employer and all you can do is wait. But if you reach out to the employer and say, hey, I heard that Uber recently had some issues with their safety. I don't know everything about Baidu, but from my understanding and my expertise and my specialties, let me think about this. What do you think? Let me make a proposal for you. So that was really interesting. That finding and volunteering to work on an assignment, it doesn't have to be difficult, but that really shows, one, your skills, and two, it shows an initiation, and three, it shows your passion and your commitment. So that is unconventional, I feel, because you haven't even gotten the resume yet, but you're doing a proposal for the company. So, and that really got our attention. So.
Okay, because job seeking is a competition. You're competing with other candidates too. You have to be creative. Okay, so the last question is like, what's the common mistakes for the job seekers they make?
So one kind of mistakes is when you do the interview, try to answer the question in a very brief way. Don't talk too much. So sometimes the candidates, when the interviewer gives questions, they try to just like follow their own thoughts and keep talking and talking. So sometimes the interviewer will probably stop them, but most of the time, for me, I will just listen. But I will know the personality and style, because it's kind of mutual kind of understanding, communication, back and forth, and learning from each other. If you get questions, don't just keep talking, just like in a brief and quick way to answer questions, and then wait for the next. If they are interested, they probably ask the following question, right? You can just like share more, yeah.
Well, I must admit, interviewing is not part of my regular job, but I can imagine that one mistake people tend to make is to oversell yourself, tend to exaggerate. I think one of the speakers earlier mentioned that don't lie, they can see through you. So, in fact, I sometimes give my students the advice that perhaps you can kind of undersell yourself a little bit, and then strategically lead a conversation and let the interviewer to discover that you actually know more than what you said you know. And this way that the interviewer would wonder, like, gosh, how much more does this person actually know? Right? And think about the other way. If the interviewer later discovers that you really don't know as much as you say you know, then the interviewer will think that how much little this person really know. So it's better to undersell yourself a little bit in the conversation, in that interview. So exaggerating, overselling, or lying, that's absolutely a no-no in the interview.
So I think it's a really interesting question. Every hiring manager is going to be different. Some like their candidates very direct forward, answer the question very clearly, one sentence, don't waste his time. Some like for you to talk a lot about your family, your dogs, whether you like to play tennis or not. Every hiring manager is a little bit different. But I will say though, everyone values kindness. So you might be surprised how many hiring managers that after a candidate's gone through the interview, they go to the front desk and ask the front desk lady or a guy, the receptionist, and ask them whether the candidate was nice to them. Whether are they kind or are they extremely rude because they think they're here for an interview and they're better. So I think one mistake some candidates might not be aware of is that as soon as you step your foot into that company, even if you're just at the lobby, be kind to everybody. And again, every hiring manager has different, interview style, so just be yourself.
Okay, then we open the question to the audience. I want to say that asking questions is one of the networking tips. When I work at Google, I'm the few Chinese Googlers is there to stand out and to ask questions. Because you standing there, ask questions, you are stand out. You are different from other people, and all the eyes attention on you. So when I work at Google, I ask questions to the Larry Page, Eric Schmidt, and even the presidential candidate John McCain. So some friends say, "Oh, are you the Tom?" and always ask questions. I came here in 2002 in the Bay Area. I attending some events like this. I always take the opportunity to ask questions. I would say, hey, my name is Tom Zhang, the questions. So the people know me. Okay, so now it's your turn to ask questions about the audience. Don't be shy. Okay, good.
我用中文讲吧，因为这个是主要是中国人嘛。就说现在大家就要讲很多fancy word artificial intelligence, robotic chat, autonomous driving vehicle, self-driving and whatever. Just forget about that. Because 大家都是中国人，我就讲中国的一个农业问题。现在的加州50%以上的中学生以下的孩子钱都是拿丁诺的，这些人的父母大部分是非法移民。结果这些大量的非法移民进入加州、进入美国以后，他们就生产了非常过量的农产品，然后呢，就向中国推销。现在中国每年进口1亿2000万吨粮食，相当于3亿人的口粮，比2000年是增加了10几倍的。但是中国一个农民种2.5亩土地，美国一个农民种1000亩土地，所以在中国有很大的空间做这个农业现代化跟自动化，这个是一方面。然后从工业上来讲，大家说机器人，实际上这个是太夸张，就说是工业自动化。工业自动化，中国的工业自动化水平只相当于全世界平均水平的1半，就说这是有很多的市场，很大的空间可以做。和华人在这个地方可以做。
您问的是什么问题？
我问的问题就是说，你们这些人呢，要看大方向，看我们最需要什么，这个社会需要什么，中国人需要什么，全世界需要什么。我非常不喜欢美国华人，这地方人过去18年投资了2、3万家公司，一家公司都没有存活下来，都是bullshit的，我就骂大家。
我也不知道他问的什么问题啊，不知道大家听懂了没有？下一个问题 ，next question。
First question is for usually this is for for the Canadian people working in USA. First question is for students for life science. Is there we know that Google, Apple hired internship for the students for the computer science. How about life science? Is even in here a high student university in Canada?
Asking about life science job opportunities in the Bay Area. Or
yes.
Interns.
Yes.
He's from Canada.
I have somewhat indirect information. If you look at the Apple or certainly Cisco, the number of employees from a school, and San Jose State ranked just about in all cases #1. Then you might say that, oh, I didn't know that San Jose State produced so many engineers. Well, we do produce many engineers, but if you look at those #1 number, many of them are from other major, not just engineering. So I guess my answer is they do hire many non-engineers. So, but I don't know the number.
Okay, thank you. Second question is regarding also from Canadian people. You know, and the USA, Bay Area have a lot of job opportunity. For the people, it's high, the age is high, and also the company also offer the sponsorship, but based on current Trump's policy.
So your question is about the company's immigration policy, whether sponsor the work visa?
I mean, for the employee in Bay Area, they're looking for some people, even they have those people have a great experience, but their age is a little bit high, and also they need a sponsorship. How those companies, current company, especially for startup company, to hire the people in working had experience in Canada.
So first I have to say so that's kind of a prohibit, right? There's no age discrimination. When we screen all the candidates, we're not just ask how old are you and your age. So most of it from the job itself to see whether the qualification, work experience, whether match or not. And the secondary, every company have their own immigration policy. Some company is kind of like highly depending on the work visa, foreigner and as a worker. And some company, they more like prefer local hire. And for Tencent, we are very flexible and open. We just hire people, and if you need a sponsorship, we'll just sponsor you. So.
Okay, maybe, okay. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, my question is that what candidates the Chinese companies like Tencent and Baidu are looking for? What kind of qualities are you looking for specifically that you cannot find in the Chinese equivalent? Like in terms of the job skills, like background, culture, or whatnot? Thank you.
I think the first is the qualification, the work experience, everything have to match. But that's kind of the basic stuff. For Tencent, we are looking for somebody who should be open-minded and be okay for the ambiguous. Because this kind of Chinese-based company, there's a culture different, there's a different perspective from the US and China. The person should be able to accept open-minded and to be okay to work in the environment. It's not that very kind of quite clear and very organized, because the Tencent is kind of a giant internet company. The industry is different with traditional company, well established, very organized. Everything is well planned, just informed. But in the internet company industry, everything just keeps changing every day. Kind of new things happening. So if for the ideal prospective candidate should be have ambitious, want to do something cool, big, make an impact in the world. That'll be the person we are looking for. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's great. And so for Baidu, we are, as you know, we in the US, we are working on autonomous driving. We have cloud, and we also have our different artificial intelligence lab. So for us, we're looking for someone with that startup spirit. So with that little fire in their heart, that knowing that we have a really big foundation in headquarters that will support that. But that little fire in their heart. So.
We have questions on a different topic here. Is what's your response to the upcoming Donald Trump trade war with China, more restriction on Chinese investment, how that would impact particular Chinese company in the Bay Area, like Baidu or China Tencent or Huawei, or what's your view about that impact the Chinese business here, particularly all the talent recruitment? Any of your comments? Thank you.
So that's a great question. I was anticipate this to be the first question, but I think this is a order by. So thank you for asking that. I think just this week, I think since maybe Thursday, about 20 people asked me that. For me, from my perspective, and from talking to our employees, we really feel that this is the things is going to get sorted out. We remain positive and optimistic about the situation right now. Of course, I mean, you guys can see the stock markets went down a little bit, but Baidu's focus has been and will always be for researching into the next technology, resolving the problems that now that nobody can resolve just yet, finding solution for the big problems. So that will remain on our focus. And so for the other things, we believe that if we remain positive, and things will eventually work out.
Yeah, I think that will depends on the different industry. If for Huawei, they might have a bigger impact. But for the business, it is to see to the customer, currently maybe not that quite a big impact. And also for Tencent, it's kind of, we can provide more opportunities for both local hire and China opportunities, because with kind of these new trends. And so you can think about working on a kind of global bigger platform, and we can provide good internal transfer opportunities. Yeah, that's what we can do. Yeah. But I don't think it's kind of big impact for Tencent right now.
I have a comment here. So you know there's FBI has an office in Palo Alto and San Francisco. And part of their job is to do the white-collar crime investigations. So I think in today's conditions, there could be some Chinese engineers should be very careful. Yeah. You join the company, but do not bring any technical document. Do not bring any trade secret. So there's a line. So to be very, very careful. Okay, next. No question? Maybe last question? Okay, last question.
What's your advice on people who want to change career?
What's the advice for people who want to change their career?
Well, I can think of two things. First, capitalize what you do have to offer. There's always transferable skills. If you have done some management, then surely you can take advantage or leverage that. And again, San Jose State, we offer continuing education classes. It's always a good idea to take a few classes, invest on your time, just invest on yourself.
So I think it really depends on what stage you are in your life. If you're financially stable and you just really don't enjoy what you're doing, then find something that you really enjoy doing and something that makes your heart sing. And if you're really looking for another career path, but you also have the financial responsibilities that you have to be considerate of, then I think if it was me, I'll try to find a balance in between. But it really depends on where you are.
Yeah, and also, well, it depends. So when you prepared, when you change your career path, if it's kind of big change, for example, from finance to engineer, this kind of big change, and you also be prepared, make sure you are ready to enter from entry level, right? If your background is finance, very experienced person, and you want to do coding, so you should be prepared. Say, I can take the job from the entry level, and I can show my ability and to move up. So you cannot just simply say, oh, I'm a senior, experienced finance person, then I'm looking for the similar level job in another different kind of segment. Yeah. Be prepared.
Yeah, see, I agree with them. You should find something you like and try to explore opportunities. Actually, I changed my careers. I was a lecturer in San Jose State. I taught 3 courses at the computer science department of San Jose State. Long time ago. Then I joined Google, become a HR. So Google gave me the opportunities. Because Google HR department, the people from 3 sources. 1/3 of Google HR from traditional HR background. 1/3 of Google HR from consulting background, McKinsey, BCGs, Accenture, and 1/3 of Google HR from technical engineering background. So I'm the last 1/3. So because here in Silicon Valley is a lot of opportunities. Don't limit yourself.
Observations, and I really appreciate all of your time. One final question. There's a hearsay or rumor that Google only hire people from the top universities, Google, not by Tencent. The rumor is that they will hire people at a bachelor degree to their legal department as a paralegal, instead of hiring somebody like me. I graduated from a top 20 law school in the States with a JD, and also I got that big school,
Her question is about the Google's recruiting standard. So what you said is half right, because a long time ago, Google has a deep education hydration bag. I have a spreadsheet of all the hundreds of universities globally. They have different rankings. But now it's different now. So I can say that, I think for the past few years, Google already changed that. So education is no longer the bar.
Yeah, I'd like to add on that. That's the same for Baidu. As many of you know, Baidu has the first in the world, the first open platform for autonomous driving. So we invite all the coders for the entire world to participate and contribute to that open platform. So when we have a great coder sending us great codings on our platform, and it doesn't matter where this person is from, the person can be contributing to this platform from Russia, from Brazil, from Canada. We look at the quality of the coding and we contact the person and say, hey, would you like to join Baidu? And actually on our Apollo platform for the Easters, we are sending out different questions for all the people that are willing to contribute on our platform. And if they answer the question right, they actually have a little gift where you have our recruiting email address embedded into that message if they were able to solve that problem. And it's an open platform for the entire world. So it's no longer just about the resume. It's no longer about where you came from. We have a lot of our candidates, before they come to Baidu, they will have to go through coding tests on our online platform. And it is after they finish that coding test online, then they get to move on to the next stage. Then we consider whether we want to interview them, a phone interview or in-face interview. So when they're doing the coding test, we don't ask any questions, whether you graduated from Stanford, whether you have a PhD or 2 PhDs. So I think right now the recruiting world or the talent acquisition process now works a little bit different. Yeah.
Thank you for clarification and answers.
Yeah, I think I'll add on something. Yeah, so it all depends on the company. Each company have their own different talent strategy and also for different functions. So, for example, a couple years ago for Huawei in US here, the strategy just hire the top, very experienced engineer and for their R&D center here. And also for Tencent right now, we have AI Lab in Seattle, and for this type of the group, we just have the top PhD from the top universities. But when we do the gaming, when we do the commercial side for the business development, we don't care about where you graduate. We more care about your experience, your ability. So it really depends on the company. And just like Tom mentioned a couple years ago, and Google and some companies, they prefer hire the top students from the top university for all new undergrads. But for Microsoft and another company, they tend to hire more experienced people. So let's go back to the first question. So when you're looking for the job, assess your own skill and understand, clarify what you want to do. And also understand the company, the culture, their operation model, everything match your own kind of expectation style. That's kind of very important because each company have their own culture, have their own DNA.